Now turning to today's forecast as we bring in meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, and I know you're taking a close look now at Hurricane Debby.
Debby is going to be a historic storm, Jane, mainly for rainfall alone, because the worst case scenario you can have is when a storm just stalls out. We've seen that in the past. Florence screeched on the brakes once, made landfall around Wilmington. Hurricane Harvey back in 2017 sat in place. I'm not saying that this is going to be like a Florence or like a Harvey, but over a foot of rain over a 3-day span, that's significant. And as for the Charlotte area, we still have a lot of question marks what the system's going to do once it reaches day 3, because when a storm isn't really moving, it kind of has a mind of its own. So we aren't able to follow the jet stream or, hey, a front's going to push it out. It's going to do what Debby is going to do, which isn't good news, especially for the eastern side of Georgia and around Charleston and the eastern side of South Carolina, eventually working its way into the Outer Banks. So here's a closer look what we can expect. Debby should be on the eastern side of Georgia, the center circulation there by your late Monday evening. These rain bands are dumping rain at a rate of 1 to 3 inches per hour, so that really shows in this perspective. Jane brought up a stat that there's going to be a 1-day rain total that pretty much amounts to what we usually see on a given month. Now, South Carolina has been plagued by drought. That's going to be cured, but you don't want to do it all at once, where this is the type of rain that highways could be underwater for the amount that's going to come down. The good news is it moves offshore, but it's also bad news because it starts to pick up more moisture and energy. This almost puts a straw here in the Atlantic, and that is just feeding these bands of rain. So wherever you have these bands of rain, that is one heavy thunderstorm after another. That's where we're going to see some significant flooding. This is Thursday at 6 a.m. at the end of this futurecast. At that point, I think we're seeing a lot more impacts Wednesday night heading into Thursday around the Charlotte area. So how much rain could you see leading up to Wednesday evening? As of right now, I think you just have scattered thunderstorms. We already have some popping up across the area, up to about 2 inches by your Tuesday night heading into Wednesday, and this starts to expand a little bit more as we work our way into your overnight on Wednesday. But when this is all said and done over the next 7 days, right now we're aiming about 2 to 4 inches for the Charlotte area. The further west that you go, we're seeing a lot less rain. But right along the shorelines, anywhere from 7 to 15 inches of rain. That is significant, substantial amount of rain, more than we've seen over the last 3 months. Now, our futurecast, digging a little bit deeper, a little bit further into the forecast, what Debby's going to do after this is the biggest question mark that we have. If it moves a little bit further off towards the west, that's going to create more rain for the Charlotte area. Eventually, it's going to start to move its way further off towards the north. It gets caught up in a stationary front, still kind of lingers. Then it looks like by your Saturday morning into your Saturday afternoon, things are starting to move its way further off towards the east, and by the end of the weekend, it should be clear of the Carolinas. So for today, high temperatures reaching the upper 80s. We already see some of those darker clouds off in the distance. We're going to hit bottom here really on Thursday and Friday because of the cloud cover, and there's a good chance that some of these days might be stuck to the 70s. Our rainfall chances after that, as I mentioned, it's really Thursday and Friday night that I think is going to be our wettest period. Already right now, we're dealing with some isolated scattered showers. We're going to see that really now until the early to mid-afternoon. Heading into the early evening, we're going to start to wind things down. But then we start to see the outer bands of Debby starting to flirt with our southeastern area. That's going to be a Tuesday morning. Could see a stray rain shower right around the Charlotte area. This is something that we have to watch because one change, one shift is going to mean a lot more rain for the Charlotte area. So we'll continue to keep you updated. Back to around 90 degrees, though, once this clears by the end of the weekend.